Hey guys, hello to everybody. My name is Jeff Heath. Welcome back to the Vintage Workshop. This is going to be the next session of morning coffee. Cheers. This session, as I told you guys before, is going to be a session about talking about what's going on in the shop, what we have upcoming, and also talk about some of the things that I just went through, as well as most importantly to me is answering some of the questions in the comment sections on all the videos. You guys have been really participating there, and I truly enjoy that, so I want to thank you all, and please keep it coming. There's been a lot of questions, a lot of good comments, a lot of good positive feedback, and a lot of you have expressed an interest in knowing a little bit more. And while I don't want to sit here and spend 5 hours answering all those questions, and I'll try to do better in future videos, what I do want to do right now is address some of the things that came up most frequently in there. So let's get right to that. And I made myself some notes so that I would remember exactly what to talk about. One of the most frequent comments that you guys expressed to me, both in the comment section as well as I even got a couple of emails from you, was the fact that you enjoy the fact that I'm not fast forwarding through processes, stating, hey, there's enough of those videos out on YouTube, and I agree with you. That's not the reason why I decided to go ahead and make these videos. I want to share with you guys the 30 years of knowledge that I've created in the woodworking business, as well as share with you the process of me learning about other things, both in metalworking and in vintage machine restoration, as well as a lot of the processes that we go through in order to accomplish these tasks. So that's what this channel is going to be about. I want you to know I've heard you, and I agree with you, and I'm going to, in future upcoming videos, I'm going to get a lot more detailed in the videos, not in terms of trying to bore the heck out of you, but just in terms of not glazing over some of the procedures. And if, like on the wall cabinet for the frame and panel door cabinet, which I'm staring at, which is right behind the camera there, a lot of you had questions about specific things on how to do certain procedures that I kind of skipped. Guys, I had 6 hours of video that I edited down into whatever it was, a 23-minute video. I probably could have made 4 or 5 more episodes. I was really worried about just boring the heck out of you and having a lot of you say, come on, get on with it already. But in the future, we're going to have the option, you're going to have the option of either fast forwarding through that stuff on your own, or else I'm going to be a little bit more detailed and not skip over some of the procedures. So I hear you, and we're definitely going to do better with that stuff. So, and to be honest with you, I'm happy to hear that, because that's really the reason why I'm doing these videos in the first place. So moving on from that, and also to highlight on one of the major points there, more than one of you had commented about, hey, crown molding, all of a sudden it just appeared on the cabinet. I know. Trust me, we're going to be going there. The reason why I really didn't show a heck of a lot of detail about how to make the crown molding is because we already talked about the restoration on the lathe, which is going to be part of the restoration series within this channel. But an upcoming woodworking project, which is sitting right here before me, is building hollows and rounds and how you make moldings of your desire, any kind of profile you want to make using hollows and rounds. And right now I've got a set of billet blanks here that I'm going to be making into hollows and rounds here in the upcoming week to 2 weeks. Here's the irons for them, and I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to take video of this and show you guys, number one, how I go about doing that and the process involved in making those, and number two, more importantly, especially to a lot of you guys, is going to be, and girls, is going to be to, how do you use these to make different types of molding profiles. Back in the day, they didn't have 5-head Weinig molders and, all of that stuff. Craftsmen took wooden planes of varying different degrees of profiles on the bottoms of the planes and made their moldings that way by literally pushing a plane through the wood. And in the instance of being able to customize profiles, you have two ways to go there. You can either make a dedicated plane, which has a dedicated profile that maybe you use all the time, and you use that plane to make specific molding all the time, or you have a set of hollows and rounds, along with a few other planes, which I'll talk about later, help you to basically remove wood from stock with certain shapes and patterns on the bottom of these profiles of the bottoms of these planes for either a hollow or a round for making coves and OGs and stuff like that. So the upcoming video is going to focus on how we go about taking a piece of wood and turning it into a usable plane. And just a couple of examples here. Here's a rabbet plane, or a shoulder plane as a lot of you may know it. This is actually a vintage one that I purchased. Paid 10 bucks for this. Probably was never used much, and the reason being is whoever had made it kind of used a piece of wood that probably wasn't dry. This thing was warped and literally turning corners. So I paid 10 bucks for it on eBay, bought it, and as you can see, flattened the most important side. Still haven't even finished the other side yet. That's just for aesthetics. I'll get around to it at some point. But I reshaped the iron to fit the sole, and this is now an excellent user plane for making rabbets on boards. And also, I'm sure you guys have seen beads on cabinet work and on woodworking, and this is a beading plane. This particular one is a 1/4 inch, and you can make these in all different sizes. I've got a bunch of them over there on my bench, used for making beads on the edges of profiles on cabinet work, on furniture, pretty much anywhere you want to put them. So, but that's where it's mostly used. So I just, we're going to be covering how to go about doing these things in future episodes. And that's the reason why I really didn't get too in-depth with the making of the crown molding, because first I want to show you how to make the planes, then I'm going to show you how to use those planes to go ahead and make the moldings. So we'll be covering that. So this week, as I mentioned, just got back from the scraping class, and just a shout out to all the guys. I don't know if any of you are going to be watching it. That class was fantastic for me. Like I said, learned a bunch. Thanks again to Keith Rucker and to Richard King for Keith for holding the class and inviting us into his home shop and home, and Richard for just sharing all that wealth of knowledge that he has. I learned a lot, and going to carry that on. I have two scrapers that are hand scrapers. This one was mine. This is called an Anderson scraper. This is one that actually Keith made for all of us in the class, and this has an extended bit in it. And also I am in the process of looking to purchase a biax so that I can get right at some of the metalworking machine restorations that I want to get involved in total rebuilds for. So wanted to cover that. This week also was a pretty good week for me. We've got some new acquisitions in the shop, so let's go ahead and cover those. I'm going to go ahead and move the camera and show you what we picked up there. First item I was able to pick up this week at auction was this Accu-finish made by Glendo Corporation. It is a slow speed diamond grinder / sharpening tool, and what it's used for is basically for grinding and finishing carbide, and in my particular purpose, it is what we used all week long in the class to sharpen the carbide scraper bits. And you absolutely have to have a way to continually and very frequently put a fresh edge on the carbide. You're scraping on cast iron, and obviously you're going to, even with carbide, you're going to dull up the blade pretty quickly. And I would say, very frequently, every few passes of heavy roughing, you're going to go ahead and take the blade out of the tool. Here's one of the blades right now. I'll kind of show you what it looks like. It's basically a piece of steel with a piece of carbide on the end, right up on the top there. That's brazed on to basically act as the cutting part and the scraping part. And what this tool is for is you set it at the correct angle, which for most cases is going to be a 5-degree rake angle, which is 5 degrees down. And you turn on the wheel, and this one is ready to go here. You turn on the wheel, and then you go ahead and to your specific radius that you're working at, you go ahead and sharpen the blade on the diamond wheel, and you're able to very quickly, 1 or 2 passes, resurface the edge on your scraper and get right back to work. So that just gives you an idea right there of the simplicity of the tool, but just really how great it is for doing what we need to do. And very valuable addition for not a big investment on my part to be able to continue on with the scraping inside the shop. The other item I was able to pick up, and this was just an opportunity purchase. I'd been looking for one of these for a couple of years now to add to my metalworking capabilities. This is a Hartford 8-inch super spacer indexer, and for those of you who aren't into metalworking, what this tool does is it holds a workpiece for you and allows you to index in specific increments of a full circle apart, so that, for instance, if you've got a piece of square stock that's a big hunk of 2-inch piece of steel, and you need to make a hex bar out of it, you can put a plate in this that'll index perfectly all 6 sides of the part and turn it in even increments and hold it in place while you mill the part. And I was also unbelievably lucky enough to get, are you ready for this? And the guys who are machinists know how great of a find this is. It came with 17 different indexing plates that are in the box next to it that you see the little jaw on. And that jaw is one of the 3 jaws that goes along with the 3-jaw Union truck that was included with the super spacer. So this was a fabulous find. I think I was the only guy bidding on it. Actually, that's not true. There was one other guy who had bid on it. I had made a bid on it after him, and he just basically let it go, and I picked it up for about 1/5 of what I had seen them going very frequently, both at other auctions as well as on the online auction site eBay. The other great auction find in the same auction that I was able to acquire earlier this week was this McDonough, manufactured by McDonough, Sterling drill grinder. And what this is this is a drill bit grinder that grinds drill bits anywhere from 1/8 of an inch, which is pretty small, all the way up to 2.5 inches in diameter. And they actually have an attachment that you can add on to this that will actually take you all the way up to a 3-inch drill bit. Guys, I do a lot of metalworking in my shop, so I do have a lot of metalworking drill bits for different size holes. And when you're restoring the big machinery that I like to use in my shop and also work on, you're very frequently finding yourself making big parts with big holes in them. And your standard drill bit set that you pick up typically is something up to like 1/2 inch or maybe 3/4 of an inch. And I've got drill bits around here that are 2, 2 1/4. I just picked up a whole box of drill bits in the 1-inch to 2-inch range at the swap meet at Keith Rucker's scraping class. So, and I'm always on the lookout for that stuff. Drill bits like that, like this one right here, and I'll just move in to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Taper shank drill bits. This is the shank that fits right into a tool holder for the mill or directly into the tailstock on my metalworking lathe. And these bits, if you find them, you can generally find them pretty cheap at the auctions. To buy a drill bit like this brand new in bigger sizes, you can easily spend $200-300 a piece. So when you're able to pick them up for a couple of bucks a piece, just because the ends are maybe cracked off or something like that, having the ability to regrind them is a very valuable option for a guy like me who doesn't do it every day. I've learned how to hand do it on a regular grinder, and I've had mixed results with it. Typically, if I do it 2 or 3 times in practice, then I start getting the hang of it. But then it might go I might go a month before I'm doing it again, and you kind of lose your way with it because of lack of repetitiveness. This particular machine basically holds the drill bit right up in here, and I'll adjust this down for you so you get an idea. The first thing you do is you set the whole head pivots, and you set the head to the pitch of the top of the drill bit. In this case, most of my drill bits are 118 degrees, so you set it at 59 degrees on the head, and this dial actually moves the head up and down, which controls the grinding wheel, which is on the front. And once you have it set, you basically feed the drill bit in, setting it at the correct angle, and you set, this has a setting for the diameter of the drill bit as well as how much you want to take off, and you use this micrometer advanced tool right here at the bottom, and it literally just goes ahead and sets it so that you're just taking off just enough of the metal of the drill bit, which maximizes the total life of the drill. So basically, while with it running, you run it through its pace, and then you flip it over 180 degrees because most of these drill bits have 2 flutes, and then you do the other side. This particular drill is set up for doing 3 and 4 flute drills as well, and I actually have quite a few of those. So being able to have them drilled perfectly every single time and accurately is something that was important to me. So this was a purchase of opportunity. I certainly wasn't looking to buy one of these, but the fact that it was in that auction and ended up going at a pretty respectable price, not cheap. In fact, this was the most expensive machine in the auction that I had bought, but I felt like I had gotten such a great deal on the Glendo carbide grinder as well as the ridiculous deal on the Super Spacer that I spent the money that I thought I was going to have to spend getting those, and I decided to pick this up too. So I just thought I'd share that with you because to me this was a great find. I also was picking up a few things this week, getting ready for the lathe restoration. As I told you guys, that's going to be our next restoration project, the Oliver 159 lathe. And I had went ahead and did some investigating on some of the things that I know I'm going to need for it. And it came with a lot of goodies, but one of the things it didn't come with was a chuck, and for holding bowls and tenons and stuff like that. So I went ahead and I did a lot of reading and found out that One Way makes the Talon chuck, which is a scroll chuck, and it's rated right up there with the best of them. So I went ahead and picked up one of these, and just today in the mail came my other purchase. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with wood turning. I've done some of it over the years, but it's been quite a while, and I'm really looking forward to getting back in there and doing some turning. The lathe did come with some tools, turning tools, to go ahead and do some work, but it was lacking in the gouge department because, like I said before, this is a pattern maker's lathe, and the guys that were the previous owners of the lathe were making patterns, and they pretty much had a toolkit for it suited to the type of work that they were doing. So I went ahead and started a thread on the OWWM woodworking side of the forum about tools, and a lot of guys that have a lot more experience than me in the wood turning realm made some really good recommendations for starting gouges, and I ended up picking up a 1-inch roughing gouge, a 5/8 inch bowl gouge, and a 3/8 inch spindle gouge to go along with one other size spindle gouge that I already have. So these were not expensive. These are Benjamin's Best. They were highly recommended as a good starter range for tooling, for learning how to grind and what kind of grinds you want to do. I've still got a ton to learn about that, but that's pretty much all I've been reading about since starting the project on the lathe. So I just wanted to share that with you and to let you know that that is probably going to be the next video that you guys see, is me tearing into that and getting going. All the stuff that I need to restore the lathe with bearings and all of that, and the VFD. Got the VFD for running that variable speed drive like I was telling you, so we can adjust the speed down for starting up bowl projects. For spindle speeds, starting at 900 is probably fine, but we certainly don't want to start a 12-inch rough bowl blank straight off the bandsaw at that speed. It gets kind of dangerous. So being able to dial down the speed is definitely going to be a nice addition and change to that lathe. And last but not least, one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier in this video was to tell you these are the irons that are going to be going along with the hollows and rounds. And we are also in that video going to cover showing you guys how to do heat treating in your own shop to get irons, not just for hollows and rounds, but like a plain iron or a knife, any other thing. Heat treating is an important part, the most important part when it comes to the actual cutting tool. So we're going to go over how to do that so that you have a nice hard iron that you can sharpen up and reuse over and over. So that's pretty much it. Going over my notes here, I want to thank you guys again for watching. I'm totally blown away by how many views I've had, and I know a huge part of that is because my good buddy Keith Rucker posted links to my channel from the scraping class and from the the workshop tour that he did here, and many of you viewers come to me via his channel. And I just want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're seeing this for the first time, please go ahead and hit that like button, and leave a comment down below if you have some things you want to see or something you feel like I skipped over. By all means, mention it. I have so far I've been able to answer every single one of the comments to the best of my ability and give you guys answers to your questions. So I hope you guys keep on watching, and that's going to be it for this video. So we'll see you all next time.